Alright. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Smurf Detective, where I figure out if people are throwing matches to play against easier opponents on purpose on the ladder, rather than challenging themselves at the peak of competition, finding balanced opponents, fair matches, and a real duel of wits, tactics, and speed to see who can outplay each other. Well, this one seems pretty obvious, guys. Let's read exactly the submission. Obviously, this is from our Protoss player in the bottom right, the Problem from Clan Big. The Big Problem, I like it. So Diamond 1, North America. Diamond 1's about 4.2 to 4.4 thousand, maybe 4,100 to 4,000 MMR, somewhere around there, guys. It says, GM's only 2 leagues above me. uThermal is 3,000 MMR above me, if this is him. That said, for being pretty intoxicated, I think I held my own well. Forgetting glaves was rough, though. Why does everyone send me drunk replays on this show and RateMyStarCraft? I swear. The number of people are like, are you, Pig Daddy, you proud me drunk? I'm like, what? Let's take a look. APM first thing first. uThermal here is playing with pretty pro APM and... yeah, let's see. Control groups. 1 and 2, so weak SCV on number 2, command center number 3, barracks number 4. It's pretty. I don't actually know uThermal's control group setup, but this is a pretty decent setup. Some pros have stuff like this. Usually they'd want to have a custom key for a third army group. You do need at least 3 army groups usually to be a pretty high level player. Even though there's plenty of high-level Koreans who get away with just 2 in 90% of situations, usually they need a third for some. Now, it's a reactor-first expand, pulling 2 workers off gas. This is reactor-first 3 racks. This is being really well executed. But Diamond League players can execute builds well, guys. Diamond 1, totally. Remember, it has to be at least a 2 league gap or a 2 tier gap. So this has to at least be a Masters 2 or above player for us to actually consider this a Smurf. So does this feel like a Masters 2 player? Well, they're playing incredibly fast. And who knows? Maybe uThermal's playing in the middle of the night drunk too. Marines are already on the way. This probe's actually being a real nuisance. Real tight opening for Problem, who's making an adept there. Second and third barracks are right on time. Guys, this is like fantastic play from the Terran. Not losing the SCV, despite going reactor first. The Marines haven't been control grouped, but some pros don't control group their Marines all that often. The barracks are all control grouped, all rallied to the front. The command centers have been rallied to the natural. Normally with this build, you would take a second gas here, because then that allows these workers to hop on that gas or the new workers popping out. And then you're still, even though you pulled off gas early, you can get your gas up. Tech lab? Tech lab? Oh my God. Okay, all right. We're starting to see a few little mistakes. The APM obviously is crazy, right? For a diamond player, but I don't know, not really. Once you get to Diamond 1, build orders, if they're not being massively interrupted, can be pretty much pro gamer level. Micro can be super sick. And generally the APM, the spamming, the speed can be pretty close. If you're not super trained in terms of the little details, it can look a lot like a pro gamer. And it's perfectly timed depot starting, 36 supply, mules dropping as soon as the orbital's done, SCV's building. I mean, this looks like a super clean build order. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. So whatever league this Terran is, pretty impressive. Did, I think, take a bit too long to put back on gas, though, because we haven't seen enough gas for combat shields just yet. I think it'll still be ready, combat shields, by the time the Marine push happens, but it is going to be an engineering bay as well. So you're going to need to drop 2 more gases on 4 minutes is the alternate way of playing 3 racks. That's an option. Normally you wouldn't do that if you'd pulled off gas earlier, like I said. Usually 2 kind of different lines. But if you wait much past 4 minutes without taking the gas, then it becomes a very greedy follow-up. Now, the Oracle's going to come in. This uThermal, real or fake player over here, has not actually gone with any scouting, but that's really normal for a 3 racks. And they were grouping up to move out. So the Oracle comes in at kind of the perfect timing. And this Oracle's, I say perfect timing, well, the Oracle's really late, which is perfect in this scenario because the Terran had kind of assumed that it was past the point in the game where an Oracle would come. So let's go back a little bit. The question is, if it came in at a bit more of a normal time, about 3:45, maybe coming up to 4 minutes, would the Marines have been ready? It seems like Thermi here, oh, and that Adept did walk in and just die, didn't really at any point play safe against Oracle. If an Oracle flew into the main, would have taken massive damage. So that is quite greedy. It's a little bit newbie since the Marines didn't actually need to group up just yet. Does get, so was it 2 SCVs? just 2, goes back in, but the Marines chase it off. Not bad. Now behind this, so this is Oracle into 3-gate Robo, a really funky wall-off here. So I really hate wall-offs like this against Terran because it's going to stop your ability to get between your bases. So the problem, doing wall-offs is really good versus Zerg, where you've got the range advantage. But until you have like Colossus out, you're actually the shorter ranged army. So wall-offs, choke points, anything like this actually helps the Terran more than it helps you. And they did say they went Glaves, right? Forgetting Glaves was rough though. So they're going to go Adept Colossus? But they're forgetting Glaves? Oh my god, they're just going to get killed by the 3 racks, I think. I think this might just be gamer. This is a pretty tight build order. Up until the gases were late, because at this point, like I said, if you're skipping gas that long, you're not going to be able to use the engineering bay. You got stim, you've got shields, but you don't have the gas for +1. You don't have gas for the starport. So what you should have done instead is go for a 3rd command center, right? Instead, there's missile turrets, tons of depots, gases, factory, eBay, all this minerals go into things that aren't the 3rd command center. So we're starting to see this quote-unquote uThermal players build start to look a little bit more questionable and not committing. In this sort of situation, you've really got to either commit there with the stim or not. And it seems like not is the decision, which I think is kind of justified. I probably wouldn't want to go into that. Multiple batteries, Guardian Shield will be turned on. Adepts there. You've got more firepower, but with 3 shield batteries now, definitely not a great idea. Battery overcharge does come down. Good pullback by the problem. And just pull back. Yeah, not a bad decision at all. Disruptors on the way. So where's the follow-up? Obviously, we want to pay attention. uThermal adds +1 weapons. Starport's going to try and lift over and swap at some point. More Marine Marauder coming across the map. I mean, it's always like this thing where I'm like, man, Diamond players can look so good. But like, if there's a drop or anything out there, that's where things really get tested. And I say this every episode, right? Every episode of Smurf Detective, I'm like, look, it looks kind of tight, but in the absence of any pressure from the opponent, is it really... Oh, he's standing under the observer. Oh my god, perfect! Perfect! He is floating 1,600 minerals, but that was the best drunk maneuver ever. Oh my god, that was so sick. He just got so much Marine Marauder. He'd only lost a few Marines before. That was like 20 Marines and a Marauder went down there. That was a monumental shot from the problem. Unfortunately, the problem is making Adepts, which are just simply worse than Zealots in pretty much every regard. If you want to use Adepts instead of Zealots because they don't charge ahead, you're much better off going like double Robo really early and just focusing really heavy on your Robo units. Just get more Robo units is actually better than making more Adepts. And that way you're not focused as much on them. The Adepts will hold off because of the numbers, but with more guys coming out, yeah, Adepts aren't going to trade too well. I mean, the bio is so weak. They can't take any hits, but the Adepts not being microed at all. And uThermal stutter stepping Marines that were on red hit points into Adepts. Not the wisest decision there. I think that was, if there's anything that tells us this is a Diamond player, it's that right there. Watch this micro. Stims unnecessarily to run away, and then stutter steps the Marines right back into the Adepts. They were in range, they were shooting, so there was no need to stutter step them forward so much. And if you were going to do it, you would want the Marauders to be moving in front more than anything else. As it is though, another, oh my god, problem! Oh, super drunk. Oh my god, drunk StarCraft games. Ouch. Where was that rally point? Was that just rallied to the army? Or was it being F2'd? Maybe it was being F2'd. I don't know if the problems used control groups for the army at all. So the uThermal players get to pick up and go drop across the map. They've actually got a pretty good economy at this point. Dude, there's like a small part of my brain that's like, look at this APM. Let's watch from their camera view in real time. I'm like, this could be uThermal. As an about this, like, there is no way this is uThermal. There is no way this is even a GM player. This could be a GM player, let's be real.
Mineral field depleted.
So this is control group 1. They clicked on the minimap to grab those units. Oh! Oh, okay. No, not smooth at all. If it's uThermal, he's at least four tequilas deep. Because this would have been played, I think, while he was in Mexico recently. From the date of when this got sent to me. So, I was going to say soju's. I'm like, uThermal hasn't been in Korea for ages, man. I'm like, what would he be drinking? Well, I don't know what they drink in the Netherlands, but the problem is going to tap on out. Dude, the spending, pretty damn good from Thermi. Once again, though, one of these games, no pressure on him. So, for real? Are you uThermal? Liquid Thermy's just like, yep, totally. I'm definitely the real uThermal. That is me. I don't know, man. I want to believe, man. I love your vids. Terran School helps a lot. Thanks, man. There is a lot of people out there on the ladder pretending to be pro gamers, guys. Don't, and they will tell you that they are them. You'll be like, oh, is that for real you? Some will be like, nah, just a fan. Others will be like, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Put a lot of effort into those videos. And it's like, come on. Oh, my lord. So anyways, production tab. Oh, because the charge got stopped. That's why that's balked. Yeah, that was the best macro I've ever played against. GG, GG. It was pretty good macro, guys. But let's go back and dissect it a little bit more in some detail, okay? So I want to watch a little bit more. Now that we've got a picture of what happened in this game from so-called uThermal's vision. Notice he's setting up camera locations. I could tell he was using, but only 3 bases. Yeah, I'm pretty sure uThermal would use more than 3 camera locations. But he just set up 3 camera locations. Starts at depot, half a second late there. So sets up 3 camera locations, queues up another SCV. Depot, you can see the SCV was rallied a bit too far down, so it ran past. He then queues up unnecessary movements. Now, for instance, I will move the SCV here and tell it to patrol from there to there, because you want it to be moving to where the barracks is, right? But that seems like a bit of a try-hard maneuver, right? And remember, there are some pro gamers who do try-hard spammy stuff like that. I don't know if uThermal falls in that range, guys. I also feel like, in general, and I swear, I kind of want to open Discord right now and just shoot uThermal a message and be like, hey, buddy, can you share me your controllers? We can probably check his videos and actually see really quickly. So we can do a bit of detective. Do you guys want to do that? Should we do I really want to check. I just want to check the control groups just to see, because what's the bet? A uThermal fan has copied his control groups exactly anyway, right? All right, let's hop out of game here really quickly. We're gonna go over to uThermal, YouTube SC2. We're gonna go over there and let's do a quick investigation. Okay, guys. Oh my God! 2 army groups, command center on number 3, barracks on number 4. Factories on number 5, starports number 6, engineering base 0. I do engineering base 0. This is really similar to my old school Terran setup. Only 2 army groups. Wait. How many camera locations does he set up at the start of this game? One, 2, 3. And he missed. It's uThermal. Guys, exact same. Oh my God, exact same. Check this out. Not only he misclicks the rally from the command center exactly like in the replay, he clicks that rally point not quite next to the ramp. I can't believe it. Watch this. So he goes to the natural, makes a camera location, the 3rd, makes a camera location, and then I don't know if you guys caught that. Watch that one more time when he after he does the 3rd. Look where he clicks. He clicks down here. So the SCV is going to walk all over the shop. It's not going to go straight to where the depot is. So his depot could be like a second late because of that. uThermal, where's your attention to detail, good sir? No, he normally doesn't move it right there. But everything else in this early game looks exactly like the replay. That is actually kind of wild, guys. So we know the system the player is using is actually almost exactly the same. Let's go back in the replay now, and let's take a look. Okay, because what impressed me here, guys, is look how smooth this is. A lot of players fumble that. The pop the SCV up, hop the SCV off, put one on. Leave an SCV chasing it. Pop an SCV off, put one on. Like, this is actually very similar to how uThermal was. And then he even moves that weak SCV to a safer mineral patch in the middle. Make sure it can't get sniped. Oh, this is wild. This is really wild. We're going to watch on his camera right now. Builds a reactor immediately the second the barracks finished. Yeah, that's a reasonably well-timed one. Since he had to hop an SCV off, a minute 32 is not bad. Builds a command center. Pretty much right immediately. And you can tell, camera location main, camera location natural, camera location third. Scrolling there, a little sloppy, but he's finding the SCV to build the depot. Yeah, it's very standard. The SCV that defends the probe is the one that builds the depot. Q's an SCV, drops a mule the second the orbital goes down, pulls workers off gas. Normally you leave one on gas, but uThermal has very unique build orders, so I wouldn't be surprised if he does things just slightly different to the meta. Q's another SCV literally the moment the SCV finishes. Oh my lord. Won't the real uThermal please stand up? How could he be matched against someone 3,000 MMR lower? Maybe. Maybe this was when he first went to Mexico. And was leveling up his account because he hadn't played on NA in so long, right? So then he wanted to play on NA, practice with low ping. He was staying in Mexico for a few weeks. And maybe he had to level up the account from scratch. So this was one of his placement matches or something like that. Perhaps. He normally, I believe, has an NA account that's quite high ranked, but maybe he hadn't played on it in ages and it's MMR reset or something like that. Very feasible that he could have been matched with a Diamond 1. Now, also, if he knows he's playing someone lower level than him, he's probably not even going to try hard that much. He might be talking to his girl. There might be like a puppy dog running around his feet. Who knows, right? So let's look here for clear indicators. This might actually be uThermal. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he doesn't watch for the Oracle, which is pretty dangerous. But the thing is, if you split your Marines, you're kind of weak against multiple Adepts or Stalkers running it anyway, right? And he does catch the Adept here in a moment. The way he's jumping around and clicking on things, and he's cycling between his army, his barracks, his command centers, and the thing is, he's doing it with the practice that looks kind of like it's pro level. Now, he did miss about 2 seconds of SCV production there, but look at that. Just the little things, Watch that, guys. So watch this. His Marines actually... Notice what he did. I want you guys to watch this. The moment the Adept comes in,
Command center upgrade.
so we're just going back. Check this out.
Add-on complete.
Okay, here we go. So it's going to come in, and what you're going to do, you're going to see he's not going to A-move. He moves towards the Adept. So he lets the Adept come closer up the ramp before giving the attack warning. Because the attack warning, the moment you shoot it, they get a warning. They're going to quickly select their control group, pull that Adept back, right? So he moves towards it. He lets the Adept come into the jaws of the Marines, then does it. Oh, this is actually... I'm actually convinced this is actually uThermal, guys. I can't believe it. I was so going into this like there's no way. Here's another guy who's like, no, is this Harstem? By the way, I believe, was it the Harstem one? No, it wasn't the Harstem. It was a different episode where someone claimed they were like way higher level than they were and so on. But, ooh-wee. Yeah, there was that player who was pretending they were Harstem, but no, this seems like real uThermal. He didn't really fuck around too much. He just was like, yeah, it's me. You know, you're not gonna lie. If you're a pro gamer, you're leveling up an account, people will be like, well, is that you? You'll be like, yeah. Liquid Thermi is the name as well. Builds turrets. Not something I'm a big fan of. uThermal loves missile turrets, and that's also going to allow him to protect his base. And he also is one of the more wild players with how he micros his Marines. Definitely sloppy gas timings, in my opinion. The argument for it, though, is he keeps up his Depot Marine Marauder production very well, right? Like, very consistent. So what he's focused on with this build is just non-stop SCVs, Marines, Depots. And does it actually, even though for me, I'm like, this feels gross. The factory being that late, don't like it. Engineering bay upgrade being that late, I don't like it. But he has a lot of units. He's hitting at 530 with an immense attack, right? Look at this number of units, guys. That is 26 Marines and a Marauder at 530. That's a big attack. That's a very big army. Now, he doesn't push in, but that's cool. He spreads out. You can see some advanced control there. Oh, yeah. And he's like, yeah, no, let's not risk it. You don't have a third. I don't need to. He knows he's all good at good company. Starport plus reactor. Where's the reactor? Oh, he started +1 weapons. So his reactor was like a second or two behind, but that's fine. He starts the reactor. He's going to fight because he comes out. He's like, oh, you come out of range of batteries? Sure, I'll fight you. Okay. Battery goes on. Okay, I'll pull away. But he's like, yeah, all right, we'll just hang out in your territory. Make it hard for you to get a third. He's like, I know my opponent can't really fight me. Adepts are kind of average units. And the thing is, if you're leveling up, you might get a bit lazier as well. You kind of eager. You're like, I don't want to be playing against diamond players. I want to hurry up and win these matches. He's like, yeah, I'll drop a third on location, but like, we'll just hang out on that side of the map, dropping SCVs, dropping mules. He played pretty blind, but that's actually kind of like a pro gamer thing. That's like very common in pro games, TVP, to not really be constantly scouting with your Marines and so on. Just hit your macro perfectly and do the right things with your army. Now, he just hit 0 APM for a second. So like I said, maybe not taking it too seriously there. Yeah, he was actually distracted. So check this out. He swaps the add-ons and then he takes his hands off the keyboard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there's about 7 seconds of him not doing anything, which is why he floats about 700 minerals there. You could see the APM drop to 0. Then he pressed one more button, so it popped up again, and then it disappeared. So, and then he's like, oh shit, instantly macros. The moment he comes back from looking away from his computer, you could tell he was looking away from the computer, probably chatting to someone while he's like, his attention's only half on the game. That's the sloppiness in this. This is 100% uThermal. He's not smurfing, but I think he was, I mean, because why would he bother? But I do think he was leveling up his account on North America while staying in Mexico for a month or so. For those who don't know, during that time, we saw uThermal smash a ton of players in the Korean Weekly Cup. He was beating top Korean Protoss players. He was beating Max Packs, really good Terran versus Protoss. And a lot of it was very unique build orders as well. So I don't think he won any of the weekly cups, but he beat a lot of really good players, gave them all a tough time. Even here, I was like, look at the way he's microing his Marines into the adepts. That's trademark uThermal. Let's be real, guys. uThermal is the guy who I always describe him as the first man who I would see stand his ground in the face of like 20, 30 Banelings. There'd be so many, like he would just be like, yeah, I can take that. 60 Marines in a clump on creep, just stims, doesn't even target fire. He's like, yeah. And he takes like 1 or 2 big Baneling hits, but otherwise he crushes the fight. And you're like, huh? uThermal has always been the guy who just takes these very aggressive fights, great SCV pools, really good decisive play. They're like, wow, oh, that sucks. And yeah, you know what? He drops the main. He jumps back home. You know what's interesting is how does he box his units?
Mineral field depleted.
You know what, guys? Do you know what technique uThermal just used? I'll show you guys what he does. Whenever he's looking at his army and he wants to jump home, the way he jumps there is he actually double taps his production key. So, or there, he pressed his third, because he doesn't have a camera location over his production. He's gonna, yeah. I'm pretty sure he's double tapping 4. And it brought me there. For him, it was bringing him to his ramp, but he doesn't have anything on either that or he's clicking on his minimap. Which he might be. Sometimes pro gamers do these weird, inefficient things. uThermal traditionally has been one of the players who uses a kind of more unique and weird, slightly inefficient setup. But yeah, I'm pretty convinced this is him. This was a bit of a fumble of the drop for sure. This did not look very uThermal-esque, but we've all done it as Terran players. He knows he's won the game, and I think it's more likely to make silly mistakes when you know the game is, like, you're so far ahead. You're on 3 base versus 2 base. You could drop him all day. You're like, oh, he does have a third. Okay. He drops there, and the other players just can't keep up. And the fact that he's just macroing so smoothly while engaging, there's no sense of, oh my god, I'm multitasking in 2 places. I'm going to forget macroing. It's the calm bouncing between tasks, doing everything. The feeling of 0 effort really being exerted. I'm absolutely sold and convinced. I'm amazed, guys. uThermal, what's up, mate? I am going to send this replay to him to confirm, but this definitely feels like him. Guys, can we all just give props to the problem? Even though he was AFK for a few seconds before, even if he was watching, I don't know if he would have noticed there was an observer above his army. How many people can say they've done that to uThermal? 19 kill disruptor shot! Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to check out the Patreon down below. Submit your own replays for RateMyStarCraft and Smurf Detective and all those other shows. The links are below in the description, as is the link to my Patreon. Big thanks Max and Apollo God, Colonel SC, Modern Totem, and everybody else who's been so generous to support there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch you in the next one. Goodbye and good night.